Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Racing Insiders podcast. I am Kate Dillon from Crate Insider, one of your hosts, and sitting here with me today is Steve Hendren from Hendren Racing Engines, and we show up every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time to answer tech questions or, well, just any questions, really.
Brag about shit or whatever.
Yeah. Talk current events. Politics, racing, kind of whatever. And anyway, so welcome if you're here. I know our setup is a little bit different tonight, but we're gonna roll with it.
I mean, you can tell them why it's a little bit different.
Because I was missing my other cable because I packed it into my other suitcase.
Yeah, and you just got back from
Iowa. I just flew back. I flew in today. I can assure Steve that Iowa does exist.
Apparently.
Yeah, I was actually at Dave Hammond's shop, and what a great shop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was perfect.
I would expect nothing less from Dave, honestly.
Yeah. You know, he even has his guys not just sweep the floor, but you know how there's the cracks between concrete?
Toothbrushes?
No.
Oh.
Vacuum.
Oh, gotcha.
Has them vacuum out the cracks. It's a nice, clean shop. It was great to be there. And of course, I was there for the Racelogic chassis school. We were doing a class about the IMCA stock cars with the Murdy family. So Dallin and Damon Murdy, big winners. I mean, in fact, Dallin, he's only 18 years old, won the Super Nationals this year. Nice. In the stock car. And he also runs a modified. Really, really smart, both of them, both father and son. Super smart. It was a fantastic class. I've already started editing. And so for any of our people who are listening that have a stock car, man, I'll have this class up.
Now, what is an IMCA stock car, like somewhat similar to like a street stock in the South, or what?
Yeah, I'm not really the person to ask that question of. So
I gotcha.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't know how to answer that question. It's different than metric, though.
A stock body type car?
Yes.
Okay, so not a late model or anything like that.
No, I mean, like when you look at the chassis, it has characteristics that look like a stock vehicle.
Okay.
You know, versus being just a tube frame car.
Right.
You know, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, am I wrong in saying that the metric stock cars are pretty much like a tube frame at this point? Or,
well, yeah, I think they're leaning towards that because they're running out of freaking stock clips. So
right.
I know Jim Bernhousel's making a metric type all tubular chassis.
Gotcha. Yeah, and of course I don't pay a ton of attention to like that level of detail of the different types of cars. I mean, it's terrible for me to say.
No, but I mean, you're kind of there to do one thing, which is, you know, get the video and the audio and make sure it's something that you guys can put online afterwards.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And then, of course, this coming weekend, you and I are flying up to Pittsburgh and we're going up there for the Crate late model class. I think there's a few seats.
Or something.
Yeah. Well, you know, all of these classes, I do everything I can to try to record, you know, what happens in the class, but a lot of stuff happens in the breaks.
Oh, for sure. Well, I mean, honestly, yeah. I mean, there's
people are afraid to ask questions, or I don't know if they think the question is unique or if they just want that personal contact. But
very well
it's, you know, it's one of the benefits of being there in person is that you can ask your own questions.
Right.
Yeah. And not just be subject to whatever questions, you know, people, you know, happen to ask at the event.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we'll say hi to some folks. I see Scott is here. He says hi from way out west in California.
Hey.
Yeah. What's the latest on that whole California and flooding and rain and all of that?
Honestly, I haven't heard anything lately. So
okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it's hopefully it's
maybe it stopped raining. I don't know.
Gosh, I know that there was. I mean, they'll be recovering from it for a while.
Yeah.
You know, you get that ground wet. We certainly have that here where I'm like confused on where to look. We're looking here now.
I was actually talking to my best friend on the phone today. I totally forgot to ask him about it. He was actually sitting on Seacliff before work, like watching the sun come up. So we're shooting the shit on the phone.
Wow. How nice. And Jeremy's here saying howdy. And Terry's here saying hello, watching it from Princeton, West Virginia.
Yeah, nice.
Love it. So we got California, West Virginia. Jeremy, I forget where Jeremy's from, and he'll have to fill us in.
Well, he's from around here, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, not like next door or anything, but like, you know, close by. Anyway, it's all It's all good. Yeah. So tell me, how was your weekend? I haven't seen you since.
Weekend was good. Yeah. I mean, just watched a little bit of football and, some cool stuff like that. And that was about it. Honestly, it wasn't anything spectacular. Pretty much took it easy, honestly, because I don't know. I went bowling on Saturday. Haven't been bowling in 8 years. Used a muscle or two I haven't used in a while. So my back was a little bit foobarred after that. So I was like, all right, yeah, I'm going to take it easy.
How did that game go with the Bills and was it Bills and Bengals?
Yeah, Bengals won.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was actually kind of going for the Bills, but I didn't really give a shit because I like actually both quarterbacks. So, hey, I think the Bengals might be able to whoop the hell out of Kansas City. We'll see.
Oh, is that another playoff or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
yeah,
semifinal technically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
but the most important thing to me was the Cowboys lost. So I don't have to hear from Cowboys fans for the next year.
I was going to ask you how your Cowboys did.
At least until September when they're like, oh, it's our year.
Oh, and Pam's here from California.
Yep.
She says, we are dry now for a few days. Lots of destruction, but we will rebuild.
We will, yeah.
We will rebuild. Yes. I forget what that's from. But.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
They'll rebuild. Yeah.
Of course.
Fortunately, they're kind of in the mountains.
Yeah.
Or the mountains, not mountains, but like higher elevations. So
right, not along
Jeff
the coast.
And Pam are probably pretty safe. I mean, their pool might have flooded.
Mm-hmm. And Mikey's here from Oregon. Actually, I saw Mikey this weekend. He says, great seeing you, Kate.
Yep.
See you again soon. There was a whole contingent from Oregon that flew into Iowa to come to the class.
Yeah,
there were 24, there were somewhere between 24 and 26 states represented.
Wow, that's pretty
awesome. At the class. Yeah. It was that's pretty cool. It was a hell of a class.
So half the country is doing those IMCA stock cars apparently.
Yeah, true.
I mean,
yeah, right. I mean, that makes sense. Oh, Jeremy's in Landrum, South Carolina. Right. Yep. And let's see, Greg's here. He says, hello from Central Illinois. Great. And of course, I was flying out of the Quad Cities. So I was in Illinois also.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because Quad Cities are right there. Illinois, Iowa border. And then Dave's just right over.
I didn't know any of that existed. So
I know you didn't. Yeah. I know. And, a lot of our, there's, they call it flyover country,
right? True.
So, and Pam says, okay, we are good, but my favorite campground at Seacliff is gone.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've seen a lot of. I mean, I'm not making light of it. I've seen a lot of shit, and that people sent me photos and video of everything, and holy crap, yeah, it's been a shit show out there.
Wow. Yeah, it's ugly what I've seen.
And my friend Tommy Canfield, he was here.
Yeah. During
that, and of course, his family owns the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, and. Well, they didn't get any major damage. They had flooding and stuff like that in the basements of the place and everything else.
Well, and just the constant scrambling.
Yeah,
just to try to keep
kind
water.
Of turned into a shit show.
Yeah, for sure. And Racer's Life says, howdy from Los Angeles.
Oh,
wow. More California.
That's a new one.
Yeah. And Jeremy says, would you consider Dave's deal a seminar or a school? I mean, I
think it's a seminar where you get schooled.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It's 2 days.
Yeah.
It's 2 full days. Well, it's 1 full day, like 8 to 5.
Right.
And then the next day was like 8 to like 1:30, something like
2
that.
o'clock usually is what they try to do on the
it was messing me up because not all of my electronics all changed time because it's central time there.
That's right.
So half my stuff was saying one time and the other half was saying another time. And so exactly what time we went to, I'm not 100% sure.
No, but I mean, that's usually about what the class goes on the next day. So
yeah, we covered a lot.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, there's a lot of information packed into that amount of hours.
Yeah.
So if you go to one of these, bring a notebook.
Always. And what was really cool this year is that you met Wade Cross from FX Suspension. He redid the entire book that we went from.
Oh, nice.
And we actually followed it as an outline.
Okay, cool.
So we, a lot of times we've done these classes and we kind of skip around. And in this particular time, we really followed the program and I mean, it just worked out beautifully.
Yeah.
Really,
that's awesome.
Really, I would say it's the best class we've had so far.
Cool.
Yeah. So, hey, high bar, Steve, this weekend, I need you to bring your best game.
I got you.
No pressure. All right. Dennis is here. Says hello from Lancaster, South Carolina.
Yep. Hello, Mr. Garris.
Yeah. I talked to his son today.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Got some more headers on the way. Rayanne says, what is the best air cleaner for asphalt racing since we don't have a problem with dirt? I wasn't sure if the walkers are still your choice.
Oh, I mean, it would be a good choice. I mean, but since you're not dealing with dirt, honestly, like that Napa Gold Wicks filter is perfectly fine. You know, if you're, you know, especially if you're limited on height. I mean, they only make that, I think, in a 3-inch height, but I mean, that filter is perfectly fine. Matter of fact, we used to run those on dirt years ago, and you know, obviously we change them every race because they were cheap. But asphalt, yeah, that Napa Gold Wicks filter is just perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no power difference between that and a Walker and a K&N. So
yeah, especially on asphalt where you're not getting it packed full of red clay.
Exactly. So I wouldn't be investing a whole lot of money in filters if you don't need to. No, in an asphalt scenario,
right?
Obviously.
Makes sense. All right. Justin says, "How's it going?" He's from Ontario. How's it going, eh?
Hey.
Ontario, Canada. Took me a second there.
Drinking beer.
Yep. There you go. Yeah, you must be half Canadian.
Yeah. Well, half something.
All right. And let's see here. So Racer's Life has a question. Crate 602 stock HEI with lockout. Have you seen timing issues using the stock GM module? I've heard they can lose a few degrees in the upper RPM range.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they'll bounce a little bit. I've seen that for sure. So I would, if you have the option to upgrade to a better module, I probably certainly would. Even a coil, like if you can upgrade to a better rated coil, I certainly would do that as well. But that being said, you also see that within MSD boxes. So if you're trying to trigger something with a box, I've seen as much as 2, 3, 4 degrees retard built into in the box. So, that's a constant thing. 602s, because they don't have a positive cam stop, you can have retard happening because the cam's actually walking forward. So that'll create, a couple degrees of, timing retardation. I'm not using that word lightly, but timing retard, you'll see a couple degrees just in the cam walking forward and backward.
And just like that, this video will be demonetized by YouTube.
No. So I would certainly, like when you're timing one of these, I would wind it up until you see the timing mark stop moving and set your timing there. So that may be 4,600 RPM, but whatever it takes to make it stop moving, that's where you set your, total timing.
That's a good tip.
Mm-hmm.
Great. And I see John's here. Hello from Greenville, South Carolina.
Yep.
Right down the road. Across the road there. And Dream Shop. Getting ready to change 602 valve springs, and I would like to measure the force before putting them in. I have the Arbor Press style hydraulic pressure checker. How much do we compress the spring to check?
I mean, are you trying to check it for total open pressure or what? I mean, generally we'll rate the spring, mid lift, but I don't remember what the number is off the top of my head.
I don't either. It just, once the machine was set, that was it.
Yeah. I mean, you're welcome to email me tomorrow and I'd be happy to give you a number to shoot for in our mid lift range.
Yeah. Because you've always found that that's a far more accurate rating rather than trying to rate at install height.
Yeah. I mean, over the nose matters. I mean, total open pressure does matter in anything because you have to control that valve from, just going crazy at full lift. But, it sees that number per cycle. It sees that number once versus, twice it sees mid lift. So yeah, I always concentrate more on mid lift than seat pressure or max lift.
And I call it half open,
on this type of engine.
Yeah. And I call it half open, half closed. It spends more
because
time
that mid lift will control the valve as far as slinging open or slamming against the seat kind of deal as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Darren asks, is there a module for an HEI that can withstand a 16-volt battery?
I don't know off the top of my head because HEIs are something we don't normally use if we don't have to. I mean, to me, it's antiquated technology, but if you're stuck around using that, then I'm quite sure probably somebody like MSD makes one. Or DUI or somebody like that.
Yeah. All right. New question. Justin says, what are your thoughts on fuel line sleeve, slip on and split Velcro style?
I don't have a thought on it. What I can say is anything you can do to keep the fuel cool is going to be a benefit. So if you've got like a heat shielding type sleeve, I don't really know which one's best, but I would certainly be using something of that sort if you can.
Yeah. And they're available at CrateInsider.com.
Are they? Okay. I didn't know. So, I didn't know you sold that.
Yep. I got them private labeled. Yep. I did. Yep. So I have my own Crate Insider.
But yeah, keeping the fuel cool is a must. So again, I'm not sure which one would be better, but
you know, I guess I did a little bit of research and I didn't see anything that was, you know, like so remarkably like, oh my gosh, this is like the carbon fiber or the Kevlar of this world. I mean, just having a heat shield on or you know, heat shield on that and you have it set up for 4150, you know, carburetor. So your fuel log, if it's a 4150, will fit my heat shield things.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, I would certainly anything close to heat, I would certainly be trying to shield as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. And Racer's Life says, great, thank you. And Matt says, how much horsepower / torque loss do you see from not changing your valve springs every 5 to 10 nights and instead run them 15 to 20?
Well, it depends on the engine that you're talking about. You don't really see a whole lot of, you know, like it's nothing I've ever like dyno tested, but you know, what you're going to see is RPM loss, not necessarily torque or horsepower loss. So if an engine makes X amount at, let's say 6,000 RPM, but it won't turn 64 or, you know, 72 or whatever the hell you're trying to turn it, then, you know, it's still going to make that same amount of power at 6,000 RPM, regardless of the valve spring, unless you got like broken ones and shit's just flying all to hell. But, yeah, I mean, it honestly depends. I mean, the problem people run into, like when they got valve springs that just wore the shit out, is going to be RPM. That's going to be it. There's no horsepower torque loss per se at lower RPM.
Okay.
So, I don't know how better to answer that question, honestly. I wish I could, but that's, you know, it's kind of like the same. And this is like totally out there as far as like away from your question, but you know, it's kind of the same thing as I get the question all the time is like, hey, how much horsepower can I expect? You know, a lot of times from asphalt guys, how much horsepower and torque can I expect to gain by running a lighter balancer? You know, where they can do that in certain series. And it's like, well, you're not going to gain any. It's going to be the same, but you're going to gain acceleration rate, for instance.
Pippi decided to join the show.
Yeah. Yeah, there's Pippi. He's in the show, showing his asshole to us and hitting the damn.
Well, okay, we got the camera from the laptop today.
What's up, buddy?
Well, and back to, we were talking about rating springs and like that whole midlift thing. And Dream Shop says midlift would be fine. He just wants to compare.
Yeah. Just send me a message, please, or Kate. And
not me. I just know that you sent my machine. And
I can give you the number. In other words, and or send me or Kate a message via email, and I'll be happy to answer it, or she can answer it tomorrow. And
you're Hendron Racing.
I just don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know what you guys said it at. We just kept it that way.
Right.
Yeah. HendronRacing@gmail.com.
Correct.
Yep. All right. A question for Steve from John here says, can a 604 motor be rebuilt to a sealed 602?
No, it cannot. The block is usable. The connecting rods are usable. Everything else is completely different.
Yep. All right. Oh, and Dave says, glad to see you got home okay. I sure did. Loved your shop, Dave. I really loved being there, seeing it, spending some time with you and Sue, you know, and thanks for joining us on the show. So yeah, Dave's brilliant as always during the Racelogic chassis school, as you would expect.
Was he cussing China?
No,
he didn't cuss China the entire time.
Well,
come on now.
Okay, he may have. I don't know, because I really knew that I needed to get ahead of this.
Yeah.
So I started my whole editing process after the first segment.
Okay, gotcha.
So I kind of got, and I was kind of dug into my computer, and I didn't. You know what? I will actually end up watching every word of this over this week.
Oh, yeah.
I'll see it twice more times. So I didn't.
Gotcha.
I wasn't concerned about what people were saying in the moment because I would see it. I would see it twice more.
There
All right. Andrew Siri says, what's up, y'all? And then Matt says he's got a 602. I'm trying to go back to his question. Oh, the horsepower and torque loss.
Yeah. Again, it's
now the 602.
Yeah, again, it's going to be, it's more RPM than what it is anything else. Now, what you can experience, like if you've just got shitty springs on there that are just suck, and you're beating the living shit out of the valve seats and the valves, then, you know, over time, that is going to equate into a horsepower loss because you're beating the shit out of the valves and they're sinking into the seats and, you know, so on and so forth. And so, yeah, that can equate to a horsepower torque loss. But as far as just, you know, comparing apples to apples, again, you know, 6,000 RPM, 6,000 RPM, and you're still going to be producing the same amount of power at that RPM. But what you might not be attaining is the RPM that you want. So if you want to turn 164, that thing might only turn 62 and that's it. Oh, and that could be a spring issue.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to dig into that a little bit further too, because it's like, if it doesn't make a big difference, then why are we changing springs? You know, why do I sell so many springs?
Because you still have to control that valve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. And David says, Excel race module. I run 18 VDC past 2 years.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So there's people out there that make modules that'll handle 16 volts.
I have not.
It's just nothing that I've ever researched, honestly, because again, most everything we do doesn't require that.
Pippi is showing me that he likes you better than he likes me.
Because that's because I fed him the last 3 days.
I'll bet you gave him like half a thing of treats.
Oh yeah, he got a half thing of treats. And his tuna.
Yep. All right. Here's a new question from Greg. He says, do you have any dyno experience with a stepped wall carb spacer on a 602?
Stepped wall carb spacer. I'm not sure what you're talking about, honestly. So probably not.
Yeah. Stepped wall.
I don't know. I mean, if you're talking about something that goes from one size to the next size and it's like a sheer stepped wall, then no, it's nothing I would have ever tried.
Do you want to sit here, be a good guest?
Okay. No, he's gonna be a dick.
All right. And let's see. Cameron says, I heard from a couple people that you had a great show this past weekend. Hope everything's doing great on the way to have dinner and maybe even a beer. Thank you for everything you guys do for racing again and again. Yep, well, thank you, Cameron, very much for your comment. We really appreciate that. And Danny's here. He says, hey, East Coast and Hendren Racing. Well, hey, West Coast, Danny. It's nice to see you. All right, Sean's here. He says, what spark plugs are best for 602 running E85?
I mean, time and time again, I just go back to that AR94 Autolite. Mm-hmm. To me, it's probably the best thing out there. Are there better ones out there? Probably. Are there better ones out there at that price range? No. So yeah, I would say the AR94 Autolite, and then NGK would probably be my second choice. Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, you still want to change those things, you know, in a reasonable amount of time. I mean, normally I recommend about 10 races and, you know, change them out if you want to just stay on top of shit. Yeah. Did they go longer than that? Yes. But
yeah, it's not like they're going to be dying, but no. You want to try to have the best thing.
Yeah, about 10 races is when I recommend changing.
And Dave says, no, he did not F the chinks.
I'm impressed.
All right, back to spark plugs. Sean says, and also, what gap do you prefer?
If you get that AR94, it's actually pre-gapped. So the electrode's a cutback electrode. So it's pretty much plug and play. Obviously, inspect it, make sure the electrode ain't crushed or anything like that, you know, from shipping or packaging or whatever. But yeah, they're pretty much plug and play.
Yeah. And they're on the shelf at CrateInsider.com. FYI. All right. Eli's here. He says, what's the best fuel pressure to set at idle and at full RPM on a 604 crate late model on E85?
It depends on the kind of system you're running. On our stuff, we pretty much set everything idle wise. You're about 9.5 pounds. And then at full throttle, you're still at 9.5 pounds.
Okay. Good. Jeremy says, are you carrying the 5-Star Bodies products in-house at Crate Insider? Was needing to order some things and was curious if I could order them through you. For late model stuff, yes, I have. I have nose pieces. I may not have all the colors, so maybe just give me a call beforehand and I can let you know what I've got. But yeah, it's funny because it's one thing that I have in-house that I don't necessarily ship because they're just too difficult to ship. So, so yeah, I do have quite a few colors.
And back to the previous question too.
Sure.
There are regulators out there where you can like set it at, 3 pounds at an idle, but it'll jump up to 9, 9.5, 10, 12, whatever you're running for fuel pressure. So, I mean, that's perfectly fine too. Back in the day, we used to run, when we ran methanol years ago, then that's what we do because, we basically, at an idle, we're idle at 3 pounds and then we'd kick it up to like, 10, 12 pounds, full throttle.
Mm-hmm. All right. And Jeremy says, that was that one. James, have ever heard of a 602 turning 7,200 with legal springs? People will tell you anything these days. No.
If somebody's saying that, they're either lying or they're going to be running their shit over really quick.
Good to know. All right. And Trent is here from Nebraska.
Yep.
I just saw him this weekend. He says, IMCA stock car division is the fastest growing of all their divisions. Can't say enough good things about the weeks I spent down south and then hitting Brian's knowledge session in DeWitt at Dave's shop on the way back to Snow Country. Ben, Wade, Dave, and both the Murdies worked so well together and totally hit it out of the park on inside information that you don't get unless being at one of those, one of these.
Oh, that's awesome.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah. I mean, you messaged me saying it was probably the best class yet.
Yeah. Well, I think a big concern, these are winning drivers. Are they really going to give up their secrets? Right. And then you've seen that, you've been to
at the late model stuff.
You've been to the street stock stuff with like Justin McCree, and that's always the big question. Are they really going to tell you about the good stuff?
Yeah.
And,
they do.
And this is open book. Everybody was really,
it's like, you pay to go to a class or a seminar and, you're getting what you're paying for.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really good. All right. Danny says, why do I see some guys putting the 2-barrel carbs sideways? What's the advantage?
I have no clue. Honestly. Sideways. I don't know the application or anything else. So I wouldn't have a clue why.
Yeah.
I mean, the only sideways ones I normally see are like on 4-bangers, but I don't know. That's unfortunately, I mean, that's not something we deal a lot with is 2-barrel stuff. So that's nothing that I've ever researched or honestly care to.
Well, and I'm planning to. I mean, I talked quite a bit with Bill Pink at the Cars Racing Show, and I'd like to bring on some of his 2-barrel stuff.
Oh yeah,
he's
pretty on top of that 2-barrel stuff for sure.
Yeah, well, he's done extensive testing and like what they do with basically blueprinting. Really fixing the mistakes in them or the production. It's just stuff that's production.
Exactly.
And so I'm planning on that. It's just been busy since the show and
for sure.
all of that. So.
But yeah, I mean, I'm sorry I can't answer your question there, man.
All right, and Dream Shop, we are getting ready to switch to E85. Does the ignition advance stay at 34 degrees? That is such a great question.
Generally on E85, you can safely run 36. I've got, some engines. I would not go above 36 unless you get it on a chassis dyno. If you can get it on a chassis dyno or something like that, then you can play around with it. I've got some stuff that's running 37, 38, 40. But 36 is always safe. So you can probably easily bump up 2 degrees.
Good to do. And on that carb spacer, Greg says, I'll send you one if you'd try it. I'd like to compare results with someone. So
the
carb spacer.
Oh yeah. That thing. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've never even heard of it.
Was,
who makes it?
Stepped carb spacer. I'm going back to the,
right.
I'm assuming that's what that was. It's a stepped wall carb spacer on a 602.
Yeah, I mean, you're welcome to send me one. I mean, next time I get something on the dyno or on the chassis dyno, I'd be happy to do it.
There's no training.
I just don't know. Never heard of it.
Yeah. All right. So Andrew says on the 602 on E85, what do you recommend gapping those plugs?
Like if you're going to be running like a conventional type plug, like a NGK or something like that, generally 40. So yeah, we don't increase the gap on just because we're changing fuel, because the higher the gap, the more efficient the electrical system needs to, or the ignition system needs to be. So, Yeah, I wouldn't change gap. 40 on E85, 40 on race gas.
Perfect. All right. And Jeremy says he'll call me tomorrow about those nose pieces.
Your cat is literally going to jump through that hoop.
I agree. It's, reminds me of, I think you and I both watched that same cat video on Netflix where the father or the mother and daughter were teaching like cats to like jump through hoops and do all kinds of crazy tricks. I can't get Pippi to stay off a camera.
He's gonna like jump through that bitch in a minute.
Yeah, there's a ring light over here, and he's eyeing it, wondering if he should try to jump through it. There's no telling. No telling. All right, Sean says, awesome, thanks. We will be scheduling a dyno session depending on when our shocks get sent back. Planning on bringing it to y'all February 10th.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, just let me know.
Yeah,
and we'll get you hooked up there. I mean, weather providing. So that is the one thing about this time of year. We do need to like keep an eye on the weather because
in what circumstances do you?
Well, because we've got our chassis down our room, for instance, right?
Right.
But it's open outside atmosphere.
Right.
So if it's pissing down rain like a son of a bitch, we don't race in the rain.
Okay.
If it's 10 degrees out, we don't race when it's 10 degrees out. So it's kind of pointless to dyno when you've got those two conditions.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're just not going to get the numbers that really tell you as much.
Right, because it doesn't equate to when you're going to be racing. And generally, you're going to be racing, spring to fall. And that's going to be, totally different scenario than racing in the middle of winter in North Carolina, which nobody does. So.
No, that is not true. There is racing every single weekend.
Here now? No, there's not.
Oh, there's always something. There's always not necessarily dirt late model racing, but there's like always something going on.
There's not. Right now, there's nothing going on. All these tracks are closed.
Okay.
So, I mean, there might be like the icebreaker at some rando track or some shit like that, but
yeah. Well, that's from
nobody goes and races that shit if they're smart.
Yeah. And Brian says, howdy, y'all. Late to the party tonight. It's all right. You're welcome to be here.
Haven't missed shit, dude.
Nope. Andrew says, are the brisk plugs worth the money? I had them, but they are rather expensive. But I just switched back to the NGKs.
Yeah, I mean, in that kind of application, I'm going to say the NGKs do just fine. Versus the brisk. I've tested those. But what I will tell you is on the CT 525 engines, I am all about the brisk plug. So that plug that we run in the CT 525s is a great damn deal. And it's worth 10 horsepower over everything I've seen.
Yeah, but you were not at all impressed with the ones for the 604.
On the 602 and the 604 now. I wasn't.
The NGKs actually did better.
Yes.
Yep. And Sean says, we will pray for sunny skies, but who really knows with the crazy Carolina weather?
No shit.
Yeah, it could be 80.
Yeah, it could be 80 that day in February.
Or it could be 12. We don't know. We don't know. All right. And Jeremy, tell her, Steve, it's gun shooting season.
It is gun shooting season. Yeah.
No, I mean, just when we talk about like trying to have the trade show and trying to find a weekend where there's not other things going on.
Right.
I mean, we have to look more broadly. So, you can't you can't have a show mid-January because then it's all the Florida racing. And then I'm just saying there's racing going on somewhere.
Yeah, you're still
all the time.
Still going up against the ice bowl.
Right. Always. There's always something. Always. But we can't go up against the chili bowl because that would be a straight up conflict. So just one of those things.
Whatever.
All right. Scott says we start racing 21st of April, 2023 at Dixieland.
Nice.
See, that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah. My cat definitely likes you better than me now.
Well, it's because I gave him treats.
I know.
And I'm like, totally cool.
And I didn't leave him. You didn't leave him. I left him.
And I played with him.
Yeah.
And I played with his little mouse and all that stuff.
Yeah. You showed me pictures.
He left me a treat yesterday too.
Yeah. My cat's quite the hunter. He is one hell of a hunter.
He's a murderer.
He is.
I sent her a picture of a decapitated mouse that was laying on her living room floor yesterday.
Yeah. That's Pippi. That is Pippi. All right. And Danny says, what's the best water wetter to use that really works?
Dawn liquid dish soap. So 1 cap full of that, and you got the same thing. You're going to be spending, I don't know, $12, $13, $14 on. It comes as a water wetter in a bottle.
Yeah,
and that was told to me by Howard Stewart himself.
Yeah.
Because him and my dad were really good friends, and that's what we use to this day.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit at the school too. Yep. I actually have a question for you that I got on email from Eddie. He says, can you talk about if pack springs are a better option than OEM GM springs on a 602 on the podcast tonight?
I mean, yeah, the pack spring's always a better option.
Yeah.
But, it's also an illegal option. So
well, it's illegal in all of the dirt stuff.
All the dirt stuff. There may be, like, if it's an asphalt thing. I mean, a lot of the asphalt series stray from, the golden book from GM. So yeah, if it's an option to run those, I would certainly run those. They're going to last. Hell, one set of those will probably last you a whole season, versus having to change them every 3 to 5 races.
Right.
So, yeah, I would certainly go that route if it's available to you, or if you don't give a shit about being busted for illegal springs. I mean, depending on what you race.
That's one way to put it.
I mean, seriously, yeah. That being said, a lot of people don't know that the current 604 springs being produced and 525 springs being produced for GM are actually made by Pack.
Yeah.
So we've seen the quality go way up.
Well, and that was the switch from the blue springs to the black springs, right?
Well, spring colored springs, yeah.
Right, whatever.
Yeah.
They're not blue anymore.
They
were blue for a long time.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that was when the switch happened. And just
Correct.
GM, they put out contracts on their different parts. So that's why we'll have different producers of said parts.
Correct.
Yeah. Because it took me a while to figure that out, like why parts would change, like part numbers would change, but it'd be the same, basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Same with like the 602 and 604 engines. They're always end in those 3 numbers. Yeah,
but anytime they make a change on it. So like, I don't know, whatever, 602, 604. Whatever they change on that engine, if they change anything in it, in other words, the supplier changes. So let's say they change the head bolts.
Yeah.
Right. Something stupid. The part number changes for the engine.
Right. Because it's an assembly. And I understand that because of like being QuickBooks, like doing QuickBooks is that I would use these different components. And if I changed it, then I would have to.
Although nowadays, if GM changed the head bolts in them, they'd probably raise the fucking price of the motor $1,000. Yeah,
they would. They would.
Way shit's been going here recently. Holy hell.
It's been crazy. Really, really crazy. All right. So let's see. Brian says, do you have the newer 604 springs in stock, Kate? Matched? Yes and yes. I have a lot of springs right now.
Did you get like a butt ton of springs?
Oh, but I did. So many. So many. They are stacked 4 feet high, about 4 feet wide in Tori's office.
All right. So, all right. I found this the other day. Now, this is apparently true, but is a medieval unit of measurement of wine. A buttload of wine is 129 gallons.
Huh.
So you got a buttload of springs.
I do.
So it's probably about 129 gallons of springs. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's probably 150 sets of them. But
well, yeah. That's a buttload of springs.
That's a buttload of springs. It's not a small amount.
No.
Yeah. So we're just going to chip away at matching them. But
buttload is an actual fucking measurement.
That is really good to know. That's great to know. All right. Danny says, Wix 51060 still the best oil filter?
We use the 51061R.
Yeah. The 61R is the one with the anti-drain back deal. Yeah. So yeah, that's the best. It's the one we use.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Or if you need the short style, then it's the
59 or 69.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. Yeah, it's easy when you only sell 2 kinds of oil filters to remember the part numbers.
Exactly.
Plenty of other stuff I don't know the part numbers.
Right.
On. Yeah. Anything new in the current events? Because I really haven't paid any attention since I've just been busy.
I haven't paid any attention either.
Yeah. Good.
I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, other than the obvious.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, Steve, are there any classified documents being stored at your home?
There may be.
Apparently, they're just everywhere. Everybody's got classified documents now. Yeah.
It is kind of funny seeing his own party trying to like take him out.
Oh man, it's
like
ugly.
Eating their own kind of shit right now.
It's ugly. It's ugly.
Because we want Kamala as president.
Is that what we want? I don't think so. Yeah, my part of the weed does not want that to happen. That would be terrible. That would be terrible.
Right.
Terrible. Wow. Yeah, that's about all I got. Oh, let's see. We got some more questions. Hey, any more questions you guys have, drop them in the comments. Andrew says, Steve, do y'all run 604s in your son's car? They're bringing them to Fayetteville this year.
Yeah, so he actually sold his 604, and I think his plans this year, because around like our area on this side of the state, it's, you know, the only place to go race 604 is honestly like Gaffney. And I am so tired of going that shithole. It's ridiculous. So now now what he's talking about doing, we got the 525 in there right now, which he'll run some of that Blue Ridge Outlaw, maybe some Steel Block Bandits. And then he's talking about like, we're going to do a 602, I believe. Oh, because I mean, hell, I can go race right down the road at Harris, which is literally like 20 minutes from my shop for like $1,000 for like $1,000. Yeah, for like $1,000, $1,500. Yep. In a 602. So I think we're talking about doing that right now.
Well, and what would be great for Alex too is just get more seat time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You know?
I mean, yeah, he does need more seat. I mean, yes, he won that big race last year, but he does need more seat time. So.
Yeah. And he's never had the chance. I mean, he started racing and it was like COVID and it just really sporadic.
Yeah, shit show.
Yep. And just to be able to get in the car and just put the laps in.
Yep.
Would be good. Now Jeremy says, is butt load an imperial measurement or metric?
It's a medieval measurement,
which means it's imperial. That would be imperial. Yep. Yes, it's an imperial measurement. James says, I find it funny how every conspiracy theory has become true.
Yeah, exactly. So glad I didn't get the fucking jab. I'm just saying.
And Danny is like Kamala. Face palm, face palm. All right, Brian says, have you seen or ran the newer Holley 650s? I believe they are a different center section.
No, we haven't, because everything that we do, we don't have to use that Holley center section. So everything we do is like the billet center section stuff. So no, the only thing that I've dealt with, excuse me, Shannon burping from here. The only thing I've dealt with here recently that you have to use the Holley center section is like mostly asphalt stuff.
Okay.
Excuse me. Yeah. So no, it's nothing that we've actually messed with, because it is extremely inferior to the billet center section stuff.
Good to know.
In everything we do. Yeah.
And Andrew says, come to Speed Week at Fayetteville, decent money last week of February.
Vietnam. I used to go race there with the Clash a bunch. So
did you like racing there?
Yeah, I mean, I raced the old configuration of the track, obviously, because back when I ran the Clash, that was, or that was 2004, 5, 6, 7, around that range. But I hated going there, but I always liked the track, and I ran pretty decent there all the time. I mean, I never won there. I finished second, finished third, fourth, fifth, all that shit, but never actually won there.
Just hated the drive, just because it's fun.
Yeah, the drive sucked, because it was like no matter how we went to, there was no good way to get there.
Yeah,
so it was like 5.5 hours no matter what.
Always track, always a bunch of traffic. Yeah, and Dave says I race in Fayetteville a lot. Yeah, that's cool. Another conspiracy theory. Jeremy says, what about JFK's limo driver being the murderer? Releasing all the confidential info has shook that whole ordeal up. Yeah,
I watched a documentary years ago that actually made sense, and it wasn't the limo driver. It was the Secret Service agent behind him with the AR-15, which, yes, they did make them right then. And the Secret Service had some of the first. And it was him with frangible ammo, and he fucked up and like pulled the trigger when he like stood up out of the limo of the vehicle behind him. But like, that's like the best info I've seen. But, as we all know, apparently the CIA did it now. So.
Right. Yeah. And then the more they try to cover it up, the more it seems like
it's like just stupid.
Yeah. It's kind of dumb. And Andrew says, I'll be running my mod, and we're running for 4 nights.
Oh, nice.
Cool. All right. Here's a new question. Jeff says, what's the best fuel filter for the 602 on E85?
Any stainless filter. So you want to run stainless, do not run anything with paper. So any inline stainless filter.
Good. And Jeremy says, I got a video for you to watch, Steve. They released a new one in 2017 that shows the driver making the second shot.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
You have to share that with us. Well, cool. I think wow. Kind of ran out of questions there. And
still got beer.
You still have beer.
Wait, I gotta go this way.
Yeah.
Still have beer. So there's like, what, 5 minutes left?
Yeah, like 10, 15, 15, whatever.
Something like that.
Yeah. So whatever questions you guys have, drop them in. Steve, the fountain of knowledge.
Or don't. Then I can go get my sandwich.
No, you're good. I already ate dinner. So yeah, but no, I mean, it's been a really great show, answering a lot of questions and talking to folks. We're kind of up close and personal with our different camera setup. I know. Next week we'll have the full camera contingent back online.
Gotcha.
I could even have the Steve cam set up.
No, we're not doing the Steve cam.
Okay. I like doing the Steve cam. It's a lot of fun. Are you getting a message?
Oh, I got a YouTube video from Jeremy.
Oh, nice.
Right, cool.
Nice. Watch it. Check it out.
Yep. I'll have to watch that.
Well, cool deal. I think we'll kind of wrap things up, and it's a good time to wrap things up. And, thank you all for being here. If you're interested in that Racelogic chassis school, the website for that is racelogic.vip. The class isn't up yet. I'll have at least a full week of editing, but I'm working on getting videos uploaded as quickly as I can. That's our newest. And then of course we got the Crate Late Model class coming up in Pittsburgh this coming weekend. So if you wanted to attend that, you can also find tickets there at racelogic.vip. Otherwise you can see us on CrateInsider.com, your Hendren's Racing Engines.com. And we are,
which we need to totally redo that site.
I know people do that.
Yeah. What's the name of your new business? Where are you doing the websites?
Winning Edge Studio.
All right. Well, you might want to promote that too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have lots of things to promote. Yes.
Well, I mean, promote that.
Yes. So we now are building websites since I have a team, and it's not just me. So me and Tori and Danielle, if you need a business for your website, we're not really doing racer websites or track websites, but for businesses, even if you needed something really simple.
If you got a lawn mowing service.
Yeah. And you just want to be able to have your phone number out there, we can help you there, all the way up to where you want to have a complicated website store like what we have at Crate Insider.
And sell stuff.
And sell things online. We could definitely help you with that. So you can reach out to me, and I'd be happy to help you. So everybody's saying have a great night. Thank you all. And we will look forward to seeing you next week. Any final thoughts there, Steve?
I'm going to go watch shitty karaoke and order a sandwich.
You do you.
All right.
All right. See you guys later.